We want you here. The hell with what FEMA says.
Welcome back to another edition of Wake Up America, Wake Up, where the truth is more important than fake news. Delivering the truth like a sledgehammer. Please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Thank you. Now here is your podcast host, Raphael Fries.
Okay, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Today, I want to talk about Hurricane Helene and that 800-mile path of destruction across the southeastern United States. So not too long ago, we are aware that Hurricane Helene, which basically started off of the coast of Florida, made landfall and just ripped and created a destructive path along the Carolinas, Tennessee, Georgia, and other states. We haven't seen anything like this in a few decades. I believe that the last time that there was something very similar to Helene, Hurricane Helene, was back in 1958. Hurricane Helene has caused so much destruction that as of right now, there's over 200 people that are dead because of it. Families have been destroyed. Lives have been lost. And access to these states, to certain areas, are damn near impossible. So impossible that there are volunteers that are using their company helicopters to deliver food, medicine, to perform rescues. I mean, there is so much going on that, you know, it makes me proud to be an American citizen, because it is Americans, right, that are doing this. But that's the issue as well, too. Because if anyone is very well aware of, or well aware, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, has failed. Failed in so many ways that what I'm seeing is, especially when I make posts with regards to what's happening in North Carolina, I get called out. I get called out because I'm delivering messages that people are sending. So all I'm doing is sharing it, the information about what is happening in North Carolina, what is happening in quite a few of the southeastern states like Tennessee and Georgia. Now, Georgia seems to be okay, but North Carolina and along the Tennessee area, devastated. And there are a lot of theories going out there, and I will mention those and tell you which one I subscribe to. Because as I mentioned in quite a few of my posts, there's no such thing as a coincidence. No such thing. What I will tell you is that over 2 million homes and businesses are without power, okay? Families have been separated, and in some cases, families have been lost. Here's a video of a woman who fought very hard to survive the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. And unfortunately, she lost her son. And it really hit me here, and I want to play this for you folks. So please, watch.
Right now, because if it was up to my humanly flesh, I wouldn't be able to do it. We were on the roof, and I considered at that moment that we were at our safe point. So I took a picture because at that point I still had service and I wanted to keep them in the loop. I thought we were okay still until the house broke apart. I was in the water for 5 hours. I was in the water for a very long time down the river. I got caught in some trees and things were hitting me. I got dragged under a few times, and that's when I remember being in a tree. In that moment, you know, in the midst of the chaos, all I heard was God telling me to be still and to stop fighting the water. I'm so proud of my son because in his last moments, he wasn't screaming for me. He was screaming, Jesus, Jesus, save me.
Folks, this thing broke my heart, okay? And when I posted it, I was contemplating whether to do it because it is so personal. When you think how, as parents, we always feel that our children are going to outlive us. And in this particular case, Micah did not. My condolences to the family, and God rest his soul. Let's talk about FEMA. So there are a lot of rumors and accusations that FEMA has not been doing anything. For example, there have been private citizens and organizations that have tried to gather donations and bring it and deliver it to the victims of Hurricane Helene. And what they're being met with, they're being threatened with arrest, okay, for trying to help other citizens, because FEMA wants to be large and in charge. Someone put on their big boy pants and they think that they rule the world. Well, guess what? When you have private citizens that are going out of their way to make donations, which, by the way, FEMA is telling people not to donate to, like, GoFundMe accounts or other accounts, but to donate to FEMA. What the fuck for? I mean, FEMA, they don't have no money. So they want us to donate to them? Fuck that. I wouldn't recommend it, okay? I mean, we'll get to that, okay? Anyway.
Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is sounding the alarm on FEMA funding right after the devastation of Hurricane Helene. Listen.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
DHS Secretary Mayorkas just basically announced that there's no money for this hurricane season. So, private citizens and people across the United States are, digging into their pockets, even though we live in an inflation period, right? When things are hard for us, but they're going out of their way to try to help these victims of this hurricane. So not only are they victims of Hurricane Helene, but they're also victims of the Biden-Harris Administration, of FEMA, because they're telling U.S. citizens, no, we don't need your help. Yes, you do. Because for one instance, it took 5 days for the National Guard to be deployed after the hurricane. And then here's some footage that you'd be interested in looking at, in which private helicopter owners are making flights trying to rescue people who are on their rooftops. But FEMA is threatening them with arrest.
Tonight, for the first time since we showed you the rescue attempt of a Lake Lure couple stranded on a cliff, we now know what happened to the husband. He was left behind after the volunteer chopper pilot who saved his wife was forced to end that rescue effort under the threat of arrest by a Lake Lure fire official. Here's Queen City News Chief Investigator Jody Barr.
I was able to look him up a few minutes after I left.
And who is this?
His title online is the Assistant Chief of Lake Lure Fire and Rescue.
This is the man volunteer helicopter pilot Jordan Sidum said threatened to arrest him if he made one more trip up a Lake Lure mountain to rescue another person.
Telling them that they're basically intruding on their authority, which kind of sucks, folks. Okay? What I can tell you is that FEMA has spent a large portion of that money that taxpayers contribute. Guess for who? Right, for illegal immigrants. And then you have the Biden Harris administration that are adding insult to injury by saying, hey, we're going to cut you guys a check for $750. We know that you've lost your livelihood. We know that you've lost lives. We know that you've lost your homes. So $750 would be a good start. But illegal immigrants can get up to $9,000, a free rental home, quite a bit that U.S. citizens under Hurricane Helene aftermath are getting nothing. This is our government. So, you know, I've been getting a lot of negative feedback from snowflakes, slapnuts. You know, they're saying that I'm passing on toxic information because there was a militia member who basically brought it to the attention of the public that FEMA was taking a lot of those donations and locking them up. Why? Why isn't it being distributed? We have people that are dying, people that are suffering. Winter is around the corner, and nothing has been done. But yet FEMA is busy prepping that area, especially in Asheville and in Spruce, to level it so that no one can live there. But in any case, what I need you folks out there to realize is that the Biden-Harris administration, along with FEMA and Alejandro Mayorkas, are doing nothing, have done nothing to help these people in North Carolina, in Tennessee, and those states that have been affected by this devastating hurricane. I mean, we're talking about, there are videos of the before and after of the aftermath that was caused by this hurricane. And we're also being told that the bodies of people that were killed are just piling up, and they're piling up in hospitals, and there is no way, I mean, because, like I said, businesses have been destroyed. Houses have been washed away. If you haven't been paying attention, more than likely is because the mainstream media hasn't been reporting on it. All this flash flooding that has been taking place, and all this devastation that has taken place, and the lack of the United States government of providing help to U.S. citizens is shameful. It is freaking shameful. I mean, my hat's off to those people that live out of state, that don't live in North Carolina, in Tennessee, in Georgia, and they're willing, again, to sacrifice, deliver out-of-pocket material like insulin, food, water, blankets to those victims. I mean, it's bad enough that these people that have been victimized by this hurricane are being victimized by the Biden-Harris administration with a $750 check, a slap in the face. I mean, you can take that money and shove it up your ass, because how am I going to start over? How can anybody possibly start over with $750? What about the taxes that these people who were homeowners, who were business owners, that they paid into the government, only to find out that FEMA has spent that money or reallocated it so that people that are breaking the law and crossing our most southern border illegally, they're getting money, they're getting help. Now, there is a backstory to this, and it is one that people will say, well, that's a conspiracy theory, but conspiracy theory or not, here's how it goes. In that area, in that mountainous region, there is a lithium mine. There's also a quartz mine. This lithium mine is said to be the second largest deposit in the world. Now, the lithium, if you're familiar, is what they use for electric cars. Then you have the quartz deposits that are also used for electronic chips. So what's pretty interesting is that BlackRock is involved, although there is a company that had been filing for mining rights. I believe they call Arbamil. They have been fighting for rights to have access to those mines, but the citizens in that area were, for over a year, have been demonstrating and protesting, leveraging their constitutional rights to say, hey, no, we don't want this to happen. Not here. Okay, because the plan that, my understanding of the plan that they want to implement to withdraw the lithium and the quartz would be an environmental disaster. So not only would it poison that area where these citizens live, but it would be a disaster environmentally. So all of a sudden, this hurricane comes in and wipes out that area. So there are no homeowners there. There are no businesses there. So a lot of us are looking at this as a governmental land grab. And some people are going to say, well, that's a coincidence. There is a program called HARP. The HARP technology, or HARP, should I say, is High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. Now, what HARP does is it has a large antenna array, very large, up in Alaska. And what it does is that these frequencies that it emits into the atmosphere create a wide range of frequencies. Now, the way it was explained by a scientist is that HARP, if you're familiar with a piano and you know the strings that are inside the piano case, or even a guitar. All right, so if you're looking at a guitar, you know that there are 6 strings. So what HARP does, it targets the strings, right? Which, let's call those layers. Let's say that these are layers within the earth. So it targets those frequencies, and whatever layer that it hits begins to vibrate. But it also can heat up the atmosphere. And if you go to Loyal to the Foil, he has a list that's pretty thorough that will show you a list of patents. And a lot of those patents have to do with weather modification. Yeah, I already see that expression on your face. What is he talking about? What are you talking about? I see that expression on your face. It's science fiction, right? No, folks, it's science fact. The fact that this hurricane developed as quickly as it did and devastated this area, which again comes into question as to, these 2 mines that exist, and BlackRock is behind it, possibly Vanguard as investors, because there's money to be made. And when it comes to investment, especially by investment groups like BlackRock, they can care less if people are hurt, if people lose their jobs, if people lose their homes. They can care less. That's a good point. But the talk is that HARP was used, or utilized to heat up the atmosphere and cause this hurricane to run a path of destruction through that area. And I'm telling you folks, I know it sounds far-fetched. I know it does. And it's up there with science fiction. But you need to do the research, because there is a lot of evidence to indicate that weather modification technology was used to cause this devastation. And why not? I mean, what about that devastation that happened in Maui? Remember that? And that land grab that was taking place. But it seems like the media doesn't report on it, just like the mainstream media is not reporting on this. So is it possible that weather modification technology was used to create a scenario, a hurricane, to rip through those states so that the devastation would be so severe that these investors can go in there and profit on those mines that exist? And look, you can't, you really can't dismiss it as a possibility. You really can't dismiss it, because a lot of things have been going on, happening in the background to distract us. Why isn't the mainstream media not reporting on it? And some are going to say, oh, because they're not allowed in that area because of FEMA. But why is it that private citizens are delivering or attempting to deliver medical aid, food, water on horseback from around the country? And why is FEMA threatening these people with obstruction, just obstruction, because they're trying to help? Why is it so critical for FEMA to control the news that's coming in and out of that area, especially North Carolina? Why is there a big cover-up? Now, I know it sounds like I'm a giant conspiracy nut, but just take a look at your news. You're going to think you're crazy. Folks, let's bring awareness as to what's happening in North Carolina. Whether you believe my theory about HAARP and BlackRock, causing this devastation in the background, if you don't believe that, fine. But at least, if I can encourage you to donate, to help, part of your time, whatever you have, to help these victims, that you post things with regard to what's happening in North Carolina, what's happening in Georgia, what's happening in Tennessee, so that other people are aware, I would be more than grateful. You can call me a crazy man if you want. I don't care. What I do care is that our government is ignoring those victims, and we're not seeing our government step up like they're supposed to. And then when American citizens try to step up and help for the sake of humanitarianism, and they're being told that they can't do that they will be arrested, well, then there's something fucking wrong. And if we allow it, then there's something fucking wrong with us too. No more Mr. Nice Guy, baby. No more. Wake up, America. Wake up.